Hello children, welcome back to the video lectures of Social Science Standard 9. This is the third video lecture of your chapter number 4, the national movements in India. In the previous two lectures, we saw about the initial stages of the national movement. In the last video lecture, we saw about the Swadeshi movement. We saw how Muslim League was organized, how Lord Minto helped in it, and we also saw the birth and the development of extreme revolutionary movements in India. Now we are going to see further about the revolutionaries, that is the Krantikaris. Before going into it, let us look at the pictures of this valiant heroes who shed their blood, gave their life for the freedom of the country. The first or one of the greatest revolutionaries, Vasudev Balwan Phadke. Next is Khudiram Bose. You can see the first photograph here. Next is Ram Prasad Bismil. Right, he was also a very good poet. Asfaqullah Khan, Chandrasekhar Azad. So these are some of the valiant heroes who have shared their lives for the independence of our country. Here there are other photos of Sardar Bhagat Singh, Shivram Rajguru, Sukhdev Thapar, Roshan Singh, and one of the other leaders, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, whom we know famously and more popularly as Lokmanya Tilak. So let us start our lecture. Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak declared in firmly freedom is my birthright. So this was the slogan given by him. Freedom is my birthright and I will achieve it anyhow. Okay. Now Lokmanya is a title given to Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Bal Gangadhar Tilak is the original name of him. This is the title. Lokmanya means the person who is very popular among the people. Okay, same like Sardar, which was a title given to Vallabhbhai Patel for his leadership into the national movement and the movements which were carried out that time. So Lokmanya is the title given by the people to Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Okay, so this was the slogan: freedom is my birthright and I will achieve it anyhow. He said that freedom is my birthright and I will achieve it anyhow. Okay, and this was the slogan given against the Britishers. This became the maxim. Maxim means slogan or a type of, you can say, a main thing that they followed. Okay, for the revolutionary freedom fighters. At that time, a group of Indian youth undertook activities to seek freedom from the foreign rule. Okay, a young group of young leaders. See, they were very young. Most of them were into colleges or of that age, say 18 to 25. Right, most of them were of belonging to this particular age, and they decided that we cannot get freedom from the Britishers if we ask. We have to snatch it, we have to take away from it, and we have to give them the answer into their own language. And that's why they adopted the revolutionary movements. Okay, this extreme revolutionaries were more than happy to sacrifice their lives. See, they were very happy to sacrifice their life for the motherland. See, as I already told you in the previous lectures, they were ready to kill someone. At the same time, they were also ready to be killed by someone. Okay, they could give up their lives and take lives in order to attain freedom. Okay, they cared give lives. At the same time, they can take lives. They were not at all hesitating in doing so. Revolutionary activities spread in, say, okay, in Maharashtra, Bengal, Punjab, Bihar, Orissa, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, and Central India. Okay, slowly these revolutionary movements took a great boost and it started spreading into all parts of India. Among these activities were some like Mitramula Society, say, this was done. Slowly, they started forming small groups at regional levels. Now, what was the main purpose of the small groups? The main purpose of the small group was to include, to enroll as many youth into the national movement. Second was to create and raise fund which was necessary for buying weapons, for doing all kind of activities. And third was to see, or the main purpose was to attain freedom from the Britishers. So Mitra Mulla Society, Abhinav Bharat Samaj, Anshulan Samhiti, okay, Anjuman A Muhulim Watan, Indian Patriots Association, later it was named Bharat Mata, etc. So these were some of the groups that were formed during this particular time. So in the first stage, what they started doing is they started publishing newspapers and magazines. See, now why they published newspapers and magazine? Why it was important? Because this was the time when there was no internet, no Facebook, no WhatsApp, no Instagram, nothing was there. How would the people know about the activities that was carried out by the revolutionaries? How would they know about what things these revolutionaries were doing? And how they would encourage other people to support them to join this movement? Then newspapers and magazines were a great way to do so. Some of the great newspapers and magazines were Kesari, Maratha, right? Some of them were published into regional languages, some were published into English, some were even published into Hindi, so that maximum people could read it. Okay, so see, magazines like Yugantar, Nav Shakti, Vande Matram, Kesari, Maratha. This gave a great constant strength to the activities. Okay, as I told you. Okay, so activities which were done by the revolutionaries were published into these magazines and newspapers. About 34 revolutionaries were prosecuted. What is the meaning of prosecuted? Prosecuted means a case was filed on them. Right, a case was run on them into the court. In the Alipur massacre, Alipur massacre. Massacre means killing of people on a large scale. Lot of killing of people is known as massacre. Now, what was Alipur massacre? Right, it was like an attempt done by the revolutionaries to kill one of the British officers of that time named Douglas Kingsford. Right, and in that it was carried out on April 29th, 1908 by young Khundiram Bose and Praful Chakki. Okay, they threw bomb at one of the carriages of Kingsford, but uh, to the fortune of the Kingsford, that officer, he was sitting in one of the other carriages, and instead of him, two other Britisher ladies were killed. Eventually, Khundiram Bose was arrested, and Praful Chakki shot himself in the mouth. Okay, so he died there. And later on 11th of August 1908, Khundiram Bose, who was just 18 years age at that time, was hanged till death. Okay, and along with him, more revolutionaries were also prosecuted into this Alipur massacre case. And several other such type of cases were done at that time. See, several revolutionaries' arrests were made in Howrah massacre. This all were carried in Bengal. Dhaka massacre. Attempts to kill Lord Hardinge by throwing a bomb, dropping bomb on Viceroy Minto in November 1909 outside the Raipur Darwaja in Ahmedabad can also be given as examples of this. Okay, so this where you can see what are their activities. They used to throw bombs, they used to hurl bombs at the Britishers, they used to kill the British officers, and this was the main modus operandi or system with which the revolutionaries were working. In the second stage, that was from 1920 to 42, events like Kakori loot case, okay, Lahore massacre, and dropping of the bomb on Centralist Parliament in Delhi took place. Okay, these were the loot cases. Now, in this cases, Kakori loot case, Lahore massacre, what was done? There were trains which were loaded with treasures of the Britishers. They were looted. Why they were looted? Why they were robbed? So that that money can be used for the activities of the freedom movement. And due to that, a lot of revolutionaries were also arrested and hanged till death or killed by other means into this. Okay, you already studied about this revolutionaries engaged in all these activities. Okay, now we are going to see about the fierce revolutionary movements in Gujarat. Fierce revolutionary movements in Gujarat. Okay, Sir Aurobindo Ghosh was the pioneer of armed revolt in Gujarat. See, Aurobindo Ghosh was the main person, pioneer. But he remained behind the curtain. He was not in, you can say, he was not the person who would come in front, but he would do all the work staying backstage. His brother Barindranath Ghosh always remained in forefront. Okay, Barindranath Ghosh was known as Barin as a short form. He arrived in Gujarat and moved toward the southern part of Gujarat. Here he met Sri Chotubai and Sri Ambubai Purani. Chotubai Purani and Ambubai Purani were two brothers who were also involved in such kind of activities into Gujarat. And later on, they got along with Aurobindo Ghosh and Barindranath Ghosh for doing such kind of activities into Gujarat. Very able companion, say. Sakaria Swami, who was also a revolutionary, met him on the banks of the river Narmada. Swami was associated with Queen Jhansi at the time of revolt in 1857. Barinder Kumar involved some of the middle class youth from Vadodara. Say. He took people from the cities also and Charotar region of Kheda, Ahmedabad, Mehsan in the revolution. In this revolt, the buggy of Viceroy Minto was bombed at Raipur Darwaza in Ahmedabad. Already we saw that it was done into 1909. This was done into 1909. Sir Aurobindo Ghosh described the scheme for revolutionary in his book Bhavani Mandir. Now see, this was a very good idea that was followed by the uh, people. Okay, they used to describe how to make bombs, how to fire the gun and everything, but the books were not named usual, but they were kept such like Bhavani Mandir. Now when you read such kind of name, you would think that it is related to some temple or something like that, or a religious book, but inside that uh, the ways to use weapons, how to make bombs, how explosive can be made, all this was published, and it was translated into Gujarati. Why it was done? So that Britisher could not understand it, right? So this was a very good way to hide things from the Britisher. It was also translated into Gujarati and published in journals like Dakshini. Besides this, booklets with titles like Deshi Vanaspatin Dawao. Okay, now in that actually it was related to bombs. Nahwana Sabu Banawani Reet, Kasrat, Gulabno Kisso, Kaidano Sangharsh, etc. were some of the publications which were published at that time. But in that actually what was spread was the thought for revolution was spread. Okay. So ideas related to revolt was spread in such kind of books, so that Britisher won't understand. See why it was done? So that Britisher won't understand it. This booklets contain methods of preparing bombs. As I already told you, they prepare methods of preparing bomb. Okay, but the names were very different from what it actually described, right? Gangnath Vidyalaya was established near Chandod, Karnali, where secret revolutionary activities were carried out. So such kind of secret places were also established during this time to train youth for fighting against the Britishers. Many Gujarati youth joined these revolutionary activities whom stern actions were taken by the government. The government took stern means strong actions against them. But the fight did not stop. And finally, government realized that suppression would not help to rule India. Okay, and finally they knew that suppressing, okay, will not help to rule India. They have to find other ways to rule India. If they will continue suppressing the youth, they would fight again back like a spring. Okay, so I'll keep till here into this particular video lecture.